Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I want to talk to you about surveillance and the Internet of Things. As you know, the PRC is exporting facial recognition AI technology, enabling repression from Ecuador to Kenya to Pakistan. This has huge implications. And I think this is one of the spaces where they are quietly building partnerships for surveillance and controlling the domestic political situation. And it's not obvious to me what the tools are in our toolkit to provide an alternative. It's not like we're going to say, hey, use our company for AI and surveillance and repression. But this is an area of expansion, both economic and political for the PRC, and I'm wondering how you see it and what we should be doing about it.
So for a while, Senator Schatz, first of all, thank you. I appreciate the question. There was a big debate. Does China have a model of, development or a model of governance that they are promoting that's comparable to their own? And lots of debates about that for years. But now it becomes clear that there are certain ingredients to authoritarian leadership that they are promoting in a variety of the countries. You mentioned several, but I'd add others, the Solomons, frankly, elements in Afghanistan. And as part of that is that they often support a vulnerable elite who is in power. They provide assistance to that leading group and the people around it. They provide Praetorian support that allow them through police and others to be protected from domestic threats, and they provide technological capacities for.
So the bad news is that's a pretty good value proposition. So what do we do about it?
And I'll get it. The value proposition is that we have to be purposeful about recognizing how challenging it is to make the argument about why democratic institutions, elections, free and fair elections, and support to governments that emerge through that process. A lot of times, I'll give you a classic example. We have a new leader in Senegal, right? Extremely hopeful. But he's raised expectations, and now we're going to have to see whether we can help meet them as he goes against both forces in his own countries and others that would seek to advance this authoritarian model. And so, look, I can't tell you, Senator, that there's a perfect answer to every situation, but I will tell you I've been to many of these countries, and that model is often domestically extremely unpopular. And if we are able to work with key groups in various countries, we can put up an effective challenge.
I think it's two things. First of all, you're right, it's unpopular. And second of all, a lot of times it's a trap. And it takes some amount of time for the leader to figure out that it's a trap, that they are going to be under the thumb of a country overseas. And then they come back to us and are a little bit more willing to dialogue.
Can I just, two things on that? That is exactly right. And I'll give you an example. When China negotiates these foreign basing, and they often initially describe them as just, it's just a little, kind of a little dock here. Before long, local authorities of host nations are unable to get on these bases. They're not able to actually control their own territory. That's number one. Number two, yes, the Belt and Road has been substantial, but many of the processes that the Chinese used in terms of financing in particular, the bill is coming due in many of these countries. These were not gifts. And some of the concessional loans are substantial, and they have real interest payments, and the Chinese are not interested in renegotiating. We can use some of those to our advantage.
So on Belt and Road, just a quick final question. It seems to me, look, we as a country started to be alert to Belt and Road, and I think it precipitated a lot of smart foreign policy actions. On the other hand, there's part of me that thinks that what China did was two things, right? Debt trap diplomacy and what you're talking about, but also just simply over-promising. And I think we've got to get in the habit of talking about not Belt and Road as if it is some insurmountable perfect strategy, but a little bit of an overextension of political, like a overreach here that we can take advantage of.
I agree with that.
Thank you.
Senator Shaheen.